morning, everyone. Welcome to Breakfast at Home. We're going to begin with Bob Walsmith, who is going to give us some information on the change to the coming soon policy. So take it away, Bob.
Thank you very much, Raina. As you mentioned, I'm Bob Walsmith Jr. I'm the chairman of this year's MLS committee, and hopefully all of you saw the email that was sent out yesterday afternoon regarding the change for the coming soon policy. I'm basically going to read some of it so everybody understands. The MLS committee and the board of directors have reviewed the coming soon policy to ensure that it presents a true picture of advertising and marketing of a listing, and to be more consistent with MLSs throughout the state of California. They determined that we are not displaying truthful information to consumers under our current policy that allows showings while not accruing days on the market. The purpose of a coming soon listing is to inform other agents of the listing while it is being prepared for marketing showings. Days on market are not accrued while the listing is in coming soon status, yet our current policy allows the property to be shown during this time. A days on market of 1 day is not an accurate portrayal of the property as it has been shown for several days or weeks. Effective immediately, a listing in the coming soon status may not be shown. If the property is ready for showings, it should be an active listing. If your client does not want the listing to be syndicated to public portals, you can opt out of internet display. This can be done on the distribution tab of the listing maintenance screen. Please let us know if you need any assistance in making a change to your listing or if you have any questions. So we won't take any questions during this meeting, but if you have any questions, please contact Ani after the meeting or myself. I'll put my phone number in the chat in a minute. And one other comment I wanted to make, this policy refers to showings within your own brokerage as well. So I just want to make that clear. And again, if you have any questions after the meeting, please contact Ani or myself, and I will put my contact information in the chat. So thank you very much, everyone. Raina, I'll give it back to you.
Thanks, Bob. Moving on, we're going to move to property pitches, new listings, buyer needs, price reductions. And so let's see if we've got someone who's interested. Oh, I see a Randy Freed shaking his hand. Oh, you're still muted.
Good morning, everyone. And I've been waiting for that on the coming soon because it seemed like all the other boards I belong to, you could not market the property or show it. So I think it's good we're all getting in order. Two things. First of all, new listing that Kelly Clenay and I have that's going into the MLS today is a fully active listing. The address is 5414 Cameo Road in Carpinteria. This is off Casitas Pass Road. It's priced at $1,100,000, a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, single story home at the end of a cul-de-sac. It's about 1,850 square feet. It is vacant with a lockbox. We will be using Calendly, which means you can go into the private section of the MLS and get the link to set up your own appointments. We will also be open this Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4. And then one thing really quick is for all you who don't check, Ani sent out last week or earlier this week the stats for May. Really important that you look as to what's going on. She spends a lot of time doing it. Ani, thank you. And it's great information for all of us. Thank you very much, Rita.
Thanks, Randy. Erin, I see Erin's hand up.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Erin Muslera, and I have a new listing downtown, 325 West Sola. It's kind of an investor's dream. It has a fully permitted ADU in the back, which has its own private lawn, washer, dryer, bathroom. And I sold this to my client as a 2-bed, 1-bath main house. He did build an extra bathroom, so now it's a 2-bed, 2-bath. You can set up an appointment via Calendly, and I hope to see you there. Oh, it's $1,395,000.
Thank you, Erin. Anyone else? I'm not seeing any other hands raised. Okay, so let's move on to affiliate announcements. Please raise your hand if you're an affiliate and would like to chat with us. Oh, Melanie Maddox.
Woohoo, Melody Maddox, the First American Home Warranty and Natural Hazard Disclosure. Just remember that July 1st, that fire hardening and defensible space disclosure is gonna come with that new CAR form. So what you need to do is order your First American NHD report, call me, I'll show you where it's at if it's in the AB 38, the high fire. I get notices every day, so I'm gonna try to follow up with all you if your property is in that, just to remind you to do that form. The other thing is the gorilla, the Bigfoot, we're having a virtual camp out. Mark your calendars, June 23rd, 10 to 3. It's free, it's Zoom. We're gonna have Pat McLean, David Hill, Lisa Cruz, Robert Brand, 5 panels, California panels. They're gonna give a Yeti $500 basket. So email me and I'll give you that to sign up, it's free. And then also last but least, your listing coverage. Everything's going real quick, 30 days. Make sure you put listing coverage on so that way if something breaks, you have me. Have a good one. Woohoo!
Thank you, Melody. Sarah Sinclair. You're muted. You're muted, Sarah. We can't hear you. Oh, there you go.
Thank you. I was trying to echo Melody's woohoos because they're so much fun. 2 quick things. One on behalf of the core committee, and that is, I hope that all of the affiliates, actually all of you, saw the call for sponsorships for our Fiesta party that's coming up August 2nd, the Fiesta kickoff party. Sponsorship requests are due this Friday, so take a look at the email that Casey sent on Monday. And then on behalf of the Independent, I'm Sarah Sinclair, Advertising Director at the Independent. And today is the first day of nominations for our annual Best of Santa Barbara Readers Poll. So you're going to want to take a look at today's Independent. You can go online and cast your nominations for Best Taco in Town, Best Doctor, Best Dog Trainer, and Best Real Estate Agent. So that's an exciting thing that's coming up with the Independent. If you need any help with any of your advertising or marketing needs, Sarah@independent.com. Great to see all of your faces. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. And now we're going to move on. I'm going to give you a little information on our speaker. Some of you may know him, and for others, he may be new. Dr. Mark Schneipp is the director of the California Economic Forecast in Santa Barbara. And this company prepares forecasts and commentary on the regional economies of California. He prepares economic analysis and regional forecasts for Caltrans, Kaiser Permanente, ExxonMobil, and the Southern California Association of Governments. Dr. Schneipp develops regional real estate and economic forecast publications and presents the findings at large public conferences in Santa Barbara County, Ventura County, and the Santa Clarita Valley. And with that, welcome, Dr. Schneipp.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm unmuted. I'm not
We
muted.
can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, let me share my screen here. Okay, my messy screen here. Can you see that? There's the title screen, and I'm going to talk about an update on what we're seeing here as the pandemic slowly works its way out. Okay, so what we can expect this year is really my focus. Some key facts today. The recession that we had last year is long over. Conditions are rapidly improving. Unemployment in the US has fallen below 6%. So, you know, things are, again, rapidly returning back to normal. A year ago, unemployment rate in April was as high as 18%. You know, there were errors made on how they were actually assessing that, but now it's all the way down to 6. or even under that nationwide. We had 50% of K through 12 students still, however, not in school normally during the this final spring semester. So that's something that's going to obviously change next fall too. But that certainly produced a drag on the economy, is not having schools open. Large gatherings are now starting to occur in most states again. Certainly not here, but most everywhere else they are. And then real estate, and I don't need to tell you guys this, but and I'll continue to mention it throughout the talk today. It's been the key engine of growth, not just here, not just California, but throughout the nation, for that matter. Okay, here. Tell me what you think is going to occur here. When do you think we'll be back to normal? Certainly we're not normal now. If we were normal, I wouldn't be here on Zoom. Neither would you. So when do you think we'll be back to normal? So think about this, because this is sort of a learning moment. One, in 2 weeks, will we be back in normal in 2 weeks? How many people think that? Probably not too many. How about by September? You think we'll be back to normal? Certainly things will be better by then. That's when they said we would have achieved herd immunity, and the pandemic should be, pretty much long gone. But, for the most part, a lot of the physicians in healthcare and health experts, professionals are telling us we've already reached herd immunity. But still, a lot of people are reticent about thinking that we'll be back by September. How about by December? It was the president a few months ago that said that, he think we'd be back to normal by Christmas, or he would hope that it would be. So many of you may believe that that may be the case. How about by March, almost a year from now? March of 2023. The reason I put these up is that we really don't know when we've been back to normal, because the goalposts have moved so often as to what criteria we're going to go by to be normal again. So this has been somewhat of a difficult slog that we've seen over time, because again, we've been told that the emergency continues to prevail, and yet we're seeing in so many other states now that they're going back to normal much, much quicker. But here, I'll talk about this as we go on. That's the right answer, is we really don't know. We think we'll be there certainly by the fourth quarter of this year, but we don't know. We don't know what's in stock for us in terms of the new conditions that we may face. Here's another quiz, and it's important, and I can tell you that all the answers here are right. So let me put them up. How you perceive the economy and the pandemic today. Business is stellar, and I'm having another career year. Okay, I ask this frequently and present this frequently, and a lot of you will choose number one, and I think a lot of you are going to choose number one more this year than probably any other year, and certainly did last. And you will choose this if you're in real estate, certainly, and in many other professions too. And I'll talk about that shortly. Here's two. I like receiving my weekly bonus unemployment checks, which continue to occur if you are on unemployment and you are receiving the federal bonus of additional $300 a week. And that's going to continue into September, although many states are now cutting that off. California is not one of them. The stock market is telling us something. What is it telling us? Well, it's telling us that you should have bought Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Netflix a year ago, because they have soared. But in general, it's telling us, and it has been telling us, that the end of the pandemic is near, and when that does occur, that growth is going to sharply occur. And certainly enough, we are seeing evidence of that in other states and in other sectors. Here, I'm working from home, but I miss the office and I need more social interaction, because many tech firms and many office firms are not yet back in the office. They're slowly trickling in, but they're not there yet. And I'll talk about the office and the likely future of the office later on in this talk. What you should know about the economy, well, we're seeing, we believe we're now seeing herd immunity because the cases are falling like a rock. Economic recovery is occurring in all sectors, and that's because 43 states have opened, and 2 more will open completely next week. So we're seeing that occur, and that is really having a big impact on the economy right now. And of course, it's pretty obvious. But there are still 7.5 million people now that are not employed that were employed a year ago. 7.5 million. Yet at the same time, the demand for workers is currently at an all-time record high. And this is why you hear all this talk about shortages of workers and labor and things like that. And then the stock market is near all-time record highs. Okay. And it has been for most of the last year, for that matter. Here's the last, 5 months or so of daily closings on the Dow Jones. And that was the closing yesterday right there. And you can see that the high was reached, in mid-May, something like that. And we're just about at the same point. So again, if you've been in the stock market for the last year, you've done very, very well. And the stock market is telling us that growth is going to sharply increase, and has, and certainly enough, we are seeing that now. But I think the stock market may be getting a little bit ahead of itself. So we got to be careful right now. Here are job openings. These are jobs that are being, advertised on Indeed and Monster and just everywhere. And that was the April number that just came out this week. So it's been absolutely chaotic for many firms and in many sectors to hire people right now. Can't get workers. It's extremely difficult. This is data through April. We're in a slow recovery where activity is picking up rapidly and daily cases are falling sharply. For most counties in California, we've moved to the yellow tier. We just moved this week. We're sick and tired of masks and staying at home. And so people aren't really staying at home much anymore. I think that has now ended in the last month or two, if not earlier. And in many states, masks are not mandated. I think in 38 states, masks are completely optional, but not here. California is the only state where masks are not mandatory. We all desperately need a drink. That's where we are right now. That's what we need. So that's the answer. Here's daily coronavirus cases all the way up through June 8th, just a day or two ago. And this was there we are. There you can see the surge that occurred this past winter, where we were up to 40,000, as many as 40,000 new cases a day. But you can see that precipitously plunged. And now we're at 1,000 or even less cases on a daily basis here statewide. So it looks pretty much like, and we're seeing this almost everywhere else in the world, not all places, but many places, the pandemic is slowly burning itself out as the vaccine takes hold of major percentages of populations in countries. Do we have any immediate concerns about the economy? Well, we have few. We have few at the national level, because things are kind of progressing better than we thought regarding the national economy and its rebound. Okay, we're mostly worried about California because we still face restrictions on capacities. Large public events are still not permitted, although we're being told that we're going to be allowed to have large public events, but only if we're all vaccinated. So we're going to see how that sort of plays out, but that's in the blueprint right now, that you can have 5,000 people indoor and 10,000 people outdoor, but they have to be vaccinated. And we don't know how the capacity constraints will change next week. And we were told a couple of months ago by the governor's office that June 15th, we would tear down the blueprint regimen and California would completely open up. But then last week, Governor Newsom said, well, hold on a minute. I still want to keep my emergency powers because the vaccine isn't going to take the summer off. And we don't know how the governor's office is going to set up, if at all, remaining or new capacity constraints on business. So we're watching this very closely, and it will impact, of course, the California economy and the Santa Barbara economy, depending upon what is decided. So again, we don't know. This is still an uncertainty for California. Here's what we expect this year. We expect the pandemic to burn out really soon if it's not already. We expect the economy to surge, and that's because of all the openings that have occurred. And it's because of the fiscal stimulus. 1 trillion of the 1.9 trillion that was allocated in March, is landing quickly and will all land this year. And then the rest of it will start coming next year and to different sectors, but it's all landing, and that is helping significantly. And the unemployment bonuses have certainly helped, but they're kind of hindering the labor market because they're preventing some workers in the restaurant, in the recreation business from returning to work yet. So we hope that those were going to expire and we're going to see a real big surge by the fall. Residential real estate continues to be a major contributor. It has been throughout the pandemic, really has never taken any time off. That's occurred nationwide. And travel is expected to rebound sharply. We're already seeing travel rebound sharply, but it's even expected to move even higher as we move into the summer months and as the rest of the states open up. And as we start to get a little bit more buy-in and accommodation from other countries to allow visitors in a normal capacity. We're still not seeing that yet in the EU. California is lagging. I don't need to tell you that. I've already sort of mentioned that. You know it. I know it. Most people know it. We have the second highest unemployment rate in the nation. We're just slightly below Hawaii. That's where we are right now. Job creation has lagged most other states. That's because we've been closed more than any other states. So through January, no, not through January, through April, the state has recovered 50% of the total job loss from the pandemic. Okay, that's where we are. So we're about halfway there. In the US, however, the broader nation has recovered 2/3 of all the job loss. So you can see we're lagging, we're far behind. We're going to catch up rapidly, but we won't catch up immediately. That's the condition. So we'll lag for a while. California remains the most restricted state right now as I speak. And hopefully things will change next week, but we don't know yet. Here's the blueprint. Just came out this week, the new tiers, and you can see most counties, including Santa Barbara, made it to the yellow tier, which is the least restrictive in terms of limitations and capacity constraints on business. So there's where we are. You can see most of the coast, all the really heavily populated and high economic areas are in the yellow tier. So we can do a lot more than we have been able to do since, well, last March of 2020. So things are improving. Conditions are getting better. Employment in California, that's what it looks like. You can see the big surge downward in April. right there. And we lost 2,500 jobs right off the bat. And we've moved up, and I have data now through March. I've only shown it through January, but it's starting to improve. We're down about 1.4 million jobs still right now, a little bit less than that. And leisure and hospitality and recreation and amusement, that's the epicenter of problems. You all know it, still is. It's probably the worst. It is the worst. And about 1 million jobs were lost right off the bat. I think I showed you this last year. We haven't come back very much. It's starting to come back. Construction is all the way back. So that has never really taken much time off, just like real estate. And we're seeing surges in construction activity all over the state. Let me talk about Santa Barbara. The labor market has been severe, the fallout here, probably a little more severe than other counties, but our unemployment rate has now dropped. We're down to 6. And in the South Coast, it's, 4.3. It's actually really low. So we really don't have an unemployment problem here in the southern part of the county. North County, it's a little bit higher. Okay, it's about 7%. Agriculture, however, is coming back very strongly in the North County economy. Our job loss to date right now, what we still have missing, essentially, relative to where we were pre-pandemic, 14,000 jobs in the county. And half of those are in the leisure, hospitality, recreation, and amusement area, because those are the sectors with high, physical contact with people. So, and that's, of course, as you know, where we've have the most constraints on capacity and limitations and distancing and et cetera. So half of our fallout is still in that sector and probably will remain as that fallout starts to shrink. And then 4,000 of it is in public and private education, because the schools haven't been back, as you know. They just started to come back part-time in the spring, but they will resume. And so we hope to eliminate that whole chunk by the new school year coming in the fall. And then another 1,500 are in personal care and repair services and shops and then retail. Okay, and in the retail shops. So that's it. It's just limited to really those sectors where we're still seeing, calamity. But again, everything is reversing and should reverse relatively soon. So the long-term prospects here are looking excellent for our total employment picture. And then, as I keep saying, real estate, which I don't need to tell you, remains very, very strong. We're starting to see hotels rebound. Here's the April hotel occupancy rate in Santa Barbara. Most of this is in the south, but you can see we've now made it past 60% again, first time since 2019. So things are coming back. As I said, travel is starting to resume. We're getting a lot more of it now. Things are getting much more crowded on State Street, and a lot more conditions regarding tourism have improved in the state, and they will continue to as things open up and a lot more and capacity constraints start to become eliminated. Okay, so again, we're improving there, and the period of cheap hotel rooms is over as well. We saw hotel rates shoot up in April, so that's now back. So again, everything is starting to return back to normal. That's what the indicators are showing. The business environment in Santa Barbara County, how is it? Well, it's getting better. Many people will say, like your industry, that it's the best it's ever been, and you'll say that if you're in residential real estate, or if you're at Amazon, or if you're at Netflix, or if you're the makers of Zoom, and things like that, or providing office support to office workers. The business environment is non-existent until recently if you worked at the Granada or County Bowl, but now that's coming back. And the business environment was challenging and cold until about a month ago. If you own a restaurant on State Street, because of course, you could only serve people outside, but now that's warming up. It's not so bad. We want to be outside, and restaurants are now getting very crowded. And now we're in the yellow tier, so we can accommodate what, 50% inside? And hopefully that will be removed next week and we'll be able to accommodate 100%, but we'll see how that goes. And you're lonely if you have to work from home, if you're still in an office that hasn't really called back the workers. But that's going to change very quickly. And I'll show you some evidence of that. Here's total employment through April in the county. And you can see we're still off where we were pre-pandemic after that big giant fall. But we're coming back. You know, again, we're 14,000 jobs lower, but most of that, again, is epicentered in one sector, and the schools are going to make up a major part of that when everything resumes. Restaurants, bars, tasting rooms, food services in Santa Barbara County, that took, you know, there's where it was. It went way down. It came back, but then we sheltered down. And I want to just show you what happened with the sheltering period. We sheltered back in December. See what happened in December and January. You know, they went way down. Now they're coming back slowly. But again, the constraints really do impact, you know, our services. Hopefully we won't have any more constraints. There's the education. It hasn't come back. It stayed right at that level. And so that will be back. And those are the three sectors, again, that I said had a lot of the trauma. The retail vacancy rate in Santa Barbara County through the first quarter of this year is, you know, still not the Santa Barbara County, but in the city, is not even 5%. It has come up, as you can see. It used to be 1.5%, 2%, maybe 3%, but then it surged in the fourth quarter, but it's improved. It's still less than 5%, but it's the highest it's been in years and years. And you know that. You can walk downstate and you can see vacancies, but they're starting to at least get filled in again. That's downtown. So that was the city I showed you. This is the downtown retail vacancy that Radius Group monitors. And we had reached a peak. Hey, my arrow is off there. But that fourth quarter of 2020, we were at 19.3%. You can see that in 2021, the last bar, we're now improving on that vacancy rate. We're down to 16, still bad, but getting better. So if you thought that there were a lot of, if you suspected a lot of vacancies and on straight, you were right. I mean, that's the official vacancy rate, and but things are certainly getting better. And here's the office vacancy rate in the South Coast. You can see it had come way down before the pandemic, but then it surged up again. And it's about 8.5% for the South Coast, high in Goleta and Santa Barbara, not so much in Carpinteria. It's the highest it's been in probably a decade or more, office vacancy. And I'll talk about the office market here because there's a lot to say about it. The pandemic has impacted, you know, all markets throughout the state, through the nation for that matter, but the state in particular. Vacancy is higher in the major markets, but not as high as you thought it would go. Okay, it's the highest in San Francisco, from what I can tell, when I look at all the major markets. It didn't go as high as we thought, given the severity of the pandemic and the effect on the economy. And rentals rates have softened, but the trauma is largely over. And for that matter, it was largely contained within the office market. Why was that? Well, because office using employment, not only here, which I'm showing you, but all over, really remained quite buoyant and robust. A lot of those workers didn't come into the office, but you know, the firms didn't jettison the office, they kept it. for some workers or for the ultimate and inevitable return of workers. So we really didn't see much impact overall on office workers and the office vacancy within our county, within the state. Certainly not what you would predict with a major fallout in the economy. Here's employment in office kind of using employments. This is the technical, scientific, professional, and you can see, that went down originally in April, but we're really back up to pretty much where we were. So that's not causing any trauma in this sector. So there's all this talk about, can we work from home forever? Is the office market going to come back? What's going to happen with that? Everybody thought back a spring a year ago that, hey, we don't need this office. We can work from home, or our productivity is higher. Things are better. I don't need to commute. I can get so much more done. Well, a lot of those statements, a lot of those feelings have changed over the last year, and conditions are now a little bit different. Is what's going to be the future of the office building? Probably not much different than we saw pre-pandemic. And of course, everybody said this was the money question for those who hold office space, but we will probably see the demand for space actually grow, not shrink, but grow, because the clear growth industries are technology, business services, information, health, and they all use health, and they all use office space. They all use office space. Now, hybrid models of people working from home will occur. We're seeing that now. That will continue. That it's likely to continue. But also, firms are now allowing a lot more flexibility within offices. They're adding more privacy. They're going to have more distance between people. They're going to allocate more square footage. And so while you have a hybrid model that may reduce the need for space, you have different kinds of patterns occurring within the office that may increase the need for space. So won't working remotely change office? And it already has changed it. So initially, yes, but many, and certainly we have seen a lot of the tech firms remain remote, but they're now all starting to come back. Okay, it's all underway. So as of December, and that was 5 months ago, 46% of all employers said that all their employees had returned. So we already had half of the people returning. And by March, surveys have said that more workers want to return, at least on a hybrid model, but at least half the workers surveyed said they want to return full time. Okay, Apple, 25,000 workers, all return this month. Intel this month. Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, July. And Google, 23,000 workers, September 1st. Again, hybrid models will exist, but for the most part, people want to be back in the office. That's where they get the networking. That's where they get the collaboration. That's where they get the mentoring. That's where they get the training. You can't do all those things effectively on Zoom. You can do some of them, but not effectively. And employers are seeing this. And so we're not seeing a change in the office environment that's likely to persist indefinitely. In fact, employers have complained that productivity, which started out with a bang in the home, has now declined over time because of worker fatigue. JP Morgan all returned everybody back last September. And as I said, surveys generally report that work from home employees want to return to the office. 3 out of 4, that's the proportion. Okay, let me talk about residential, which I really don't need to talk about because you guys all know this, but I'll show you some of the statistics that we're seeing from Flex. Sales certainly have increased over last year. Selling values are absolutely off the charts versus a year ago. The inventory, needless to say, remains constrained. here's the unsold inventory in California. So if you think it's constrained here, well, it's constrained everywhere. So there's the annualized number for the first 4 months of the year in California. It's the lowest it's been in 30 years. So you wonder why prices are high. It's a simple supply and demand issue. There's nothing for sale. Okay, it's that simple. So here's single family home prices, sell it for the single family detached market. And there's the numbers I get off of Flex, so you have them too. But so this is year to date. So this is the median price for the January, February, March, April, and May time period. Okay, versus that same time period a year ago. And we'll pick out your favorite area. Look, you can see the percentage changes. Now that's the change over 2019. So I go back 2 years on that one. Those are high. I mean, carpentry up 73% over 2 years. And then Montecito up nearly 90%. Total South Coast, 60%. I mean, in fact, the total for the South Coast is now over 2 million. Okay. We used to be hovering around 1.3, 1.4. It's well over 2 now. Okay. And then of course, those are the two outliers. I try to take those. I think I have a chart here, which I'll show you. If I adjust for those two, it's still high. So there's the picture of it. You can see this just extremely sharp run up that started in July, essentially, of last year. And you can see that it's just taken off, this sharp increase. But this is official numbers in Flex. And there's the inventory official numbers. There they are. I showed you California. Here it is monthly for the South Coast. And, you know, back in 2019, you were getting 600 or 700, you know, homes per month of active inventory. And now it's less than 300. It's 250 or so. So that's how much it's fallen off. Pending home sales, you can see how high pending home sales were in those months of July, August, and September of last year. And they're still high right now. So again, lots of pendings, lots of sales for that matter. There's the sales, showed you the pending. So these are the actual closed. And we saw this big run up, as you could see in July, August, September, October, November of last year. And we're continuing to see those same run up numbers in March, April, and May. So the March, April, and May numbers compared to a year ago are substantially higher. They're like double what they were a year ago. And I think finally, here's, if I exclude Montecito and Hope Ranch from the statistics, this is what it looks like. And you can see it's not quite as sharply run up in the last few months, but still the median price is falling right around 1.6, 1.7 million for all those homes sold, not in the Hope Ranch, Montecito area over this time period. So again, this probably just confirms what you've all known, or you've already known it. So I'm just being redundant. Hey, what's going on here? Okay. Now I don't have much of a forecast because, you know, things are looking actually quite auspicious for the coming year and even going into next year. So I will say this, the summary is this: growth accelerates. It's just going to. So we're not in a recession now. Conditions are improving rapidly. And they will rapidly return to normal. The only thing that's holding them back from returning to normal is the constraints that we're under here in California. And as I've said, and as you can easily, research on your own, almost all other states now are wide open, don't even have a mask mandate. We look for most jobs to be refilled by the fall, because by then, much of the travel will have come back. A lot of the capacity limitations, we hope, will be eased and removed. And then all the schools will open. UCSB, City College, all K through 12, and this occurs all over the state. So that's going to provide just a windfall surge in employment and new spending in all the different regions and things like that, and housing. So you can see that barring any extraordinary return of the virus or the breakdown of herd immunity or anything, we're on the path for complete recovery quickly. Unemployment falls like a rock by the end of this year. So here I just show GDP. I'll just give you another chart or two, and then I'm pretty much done, because there's really not much more to talk about here. That was the first quarter. And then by third quarter, we were back up to where we were pre-pandemic. And then we're there. And then next year, we are on a new path of growth. So it happens that quickly. And employment in California lags. There's where we are in the first quarter of this year. And there's where we are, we eclipsed the previous peak, and we're on a whole new growth path by late next year. So it's going to take a little bit while for California to get back, but you probably won't notice that. You're going to just notice robust growth. And so it's not going to be something that is going to be obstructive at all. We're going to create these jobs. A lot of firms went out of business during the pandemic and will be replaced, but it will take time for that recovery to occur. Nevertheless, it's sustainable. Nothing looks like it can get in the way right now. California will largely mirror what's happening in the US, but because of its laggard situation, it's not going to move right with the US economy. It's not now, but it ultimately will catch up within a year. The housing market remains the principal engine of growth in the nation. Now, in the nation, it's slowing down a little bit. Home sales are, but prices continue to soar because inventory is just so low nationwide. Year over year, prices are up 20% in the nation. In California, they're up like 30%. But technology and housing and the office sectors, and we think travel will come back very strong as well this year, as I've said. So full official recovery will probably not be expected until the end of the year. And that's the kind of full recovery that you kind of notice. But by mid-22, all indicators, all those subtle things that you might not notice, will have returned to pre-pandemic levels. Now, a year ago when I talked to you about this, we didn't think this would occur until 2023, and in some cases until 2024. But because of the experiments of the start and stop restrictions that we saw put on states and economies throughout California and the nation over the last year, we were able to see when things were removed what happened with economies, and things started to return back much faster than we all thought were possible. And so given that, we've now changed our forecast to be a lot more optimistic than we were before. And so look for conditions to improve and again return to pre-pandemic levels no later than about mid next year or late next year for even the most laggard sectors. So that's it. It's a pretty rosy forecast, needless to say, right now. But that's where everything points. So have a good year in residential real estate. It's going to still continue to be great. Then the rest of the economy starts, picking up. I think that these home prices that you are seeing are not sustainable. Needless to say, I don't, and you probably don't either. This is just nuts what we're seeing. So that this is likely not necessarily to correct, but we look at them to level off much more quicker at some point in time. But again, that all depends upon whether you can get more inventory going. Okay, so that's my presentation, and I'm going to turn it back to I guess Ani. I know who gets it.
No, Raina, I'll take it. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Mark.
Okay.
Would you be willing to take some questions?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Let's see. What do we have? If we have people with questions, if you want to raise your hand. Jean Cedar.
Yeah, Mark, in your opinion, how much weight does it carry for, you were mentioning September and didn't mention that possibly a rebound at that particular time. How will that be affected by the people who do have the unemployment that I believe is running them up until September?
Well, you kind of had a couple of questions embedded in that one question. What do you think will return in September? You think we may get another surge of the virus?
No, I'm just wondering, you mentioned a number of other factors that would by September have a rebound.
Oh,
But we all know that, well, I believe still that the September is the deadline for the bonus unemployment, $300 a week or whatever that is. So I'm just asking your opinion of how much weight that will carry for that part of will that play an effect on the rebound in September?
yes, it will, because it will eliminate the incentive to not work. So, and of course, that incentive is really only occurring in the minimum wage type of sectors, or so it's not really. So it is impacting the leisure and hospitality, restaurant, food services, hotel industry, where most of the trauma is right now. So when that starts to get eliminated, all those workers won't have that bonus. They'll now be able to earn more compensation if they go back to work. And so we will see a surge of workers become available into the labor force for work, which we need now, by September. So that's A, and then B, schools all resume. And so that's another surge of employment all over the state of California, certainly here. So yes, look for big changes by the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter.
Thank you, Jean. We have another question. Why is lumber so expensive this year? From Linda Brown.
Yeah, lumber, concrete, copper, any building material for that matter, starting to come down, Linda, but there were supply constraints because of the pandemic and getting firms to, get that stuff. So, and then building is still sharply, that kind of activity is sharply higher all over the country, all over the state, for that matter, all over the world. We're seeing lots of construction. And so the demand for raw materials has been extremely high, but that combined with the supply chain problems that we've had due to the pandemic have caused these high prices. But we believe that will change as things start to get back to normal. So don't look for that to be a permanent issue in the building components materials. That's a transitory inflation, and we look for that to remedy itself over the next 6 months.
We have another question from Bob Hart.
Thank you, Raina. Thanks, Mark, for a great presentation as always. Really appreciate that. One of the things I've been concerned about is inflation. is with all these trillions of dollars in stimulus that the government's been putting out there without the funds behind them, aren't we going to be facing inflation in the future?
Well, I didn't talk about that, but yes, it's something that I've been pondering, of course. All economists have been looking at that over the last few months. The CPI just came out this morning, and it shows that the year-over-year rate is running at about 5% now, whereas, in previous years, we've been 1 to 2. So things are much higher right now. The big question that we all have is this temporary? And you'll hear the term from the talking heads on TV, is this transitional? Is this transitory? Because again, of the fallout from the pandemic, the supply chain issues, the fact that, certain things like lumber and concrete are so much higher, and that's entering into the inflation rates, food, and things like that. The Biden administration has also, curtailed energy production to some extent, and we have problems with energy delivery. So that has caused, oil prices and prices of energy to rise sharply. That's why we're seeing gasoline at over $4 a gallon, and that's entering into it. And then, of course, housing prices is entering into it. So a lot of these things are making up the higher inflation rate right now. Again, the question is, will we be able, is this permanent? Is this something that really has been caused by all the stimulus, and will it be a problem? Most economists are saying it's transitory and look for it to stay in the 3 to 4% range this year and then start to fall again next year, or certainly by 2023, when we work through all the kinks, certainly by then. But I'm not so sure, Bob. I think that a lot of it has to do with all the stimulus that has gone in. And yes, if we don't start to repay a lot of the debt for the federal government, if we don't start to, take back in a lot of this money through taxation or through curtailment on spending, that inflation is going to remain an issue for the indefinite future. So this is something that you might want to protect yourself against by buying gold or silver or even cryptocurrencies right now.
We have one last question. How will President Biden's proposed retroactive increase in capital gains tax affect our future sales, since our profit is capital gains? And that's from Sharon Wilson.
Yeah, it could be a problem. Although, I think he's going to back off that. He's already said he's willing to back off a lot of the tax increases in exchange for Republican buy-in of his infrastructure plan. So we'll see how the horse trading occurs in Congress here. If he's willing to back off the taxes and the capital gains so quickly, I don't know how that's going to go. It's very unpopular. It would impact stock market because the capital gains there would impact stock market investment. People would start to take profits. You'll see stock market corrections if that looks like it's a done deal. And yes, it will probably hasten the sale of properties now before the tax sets in, and then that would bring future sales to the present, and so it would impact the real estate market if that certainly occurred. But again, before you get worried about that, I would watch what's going on in Congress, because I don't know how purposeful they are in actually completing that kind of a tax increase. But you know what? We're going to need it in order to pay off all this stimulus to some extent. So yeah, it will hurt. It's unpopular. It will hurt, but it will help with the inflationary problems that we may have down the road.
Thank you. We've got 1 minute, so I'm going to squeeze in one more question from Rick Sawyer. If there is a chance of the governor to if there's a change in the governorship to a Republican in California, will that help or hurt the California economy?
Boy, all these political questions. You know, the change in administrations normally has not had much of an effect, depending upon whether it's blue or red, on the economies that we've seen. However, this changed during the pandemic because, as you know, a lot of the red states opened up early and tossed their mask mandates or whatever, and those economies actually did a lot better. And it's kind of obvious, if you don't constrain business, if you don't constrain everything, then yeah, you're going to allow the free market to operate and the economy is going to grow faster and conditions will be better. So to the extent that we get a different governor in, and that governor is not so much wed to constraints and emergency powers, and was willing to open up California, just as we've seen Texas open, Florida open, Tennessee open, Arizona open. In fact, for that matter, the other 40 states, then yeah, the economy will take off a lot more and we'll catch up to the US much more rapidly. So also a different governor may have different policies that he or she vetoes, that it's coming out of the legislature, that may actually obstruct the economy too. So there's a strong possibility that yes, a different governor will actually cause more robust growth, given what we've seen from Governor Newsom, if there's a change during the recall.